Today on Locked On Canadiens, after a fantastic open to the preseason, has Owen Beck become a victim of his own success?
You are Locked On Canadiens, your daily podcast on the Montreal Canadiens. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everyone, and welcome into another episode of Locked On Canadiens. Thank you for making us your first listen of the day and for subscribing wherever you get your podcast. Doing that ensures you don't miss an episode, and it supports us here on the show. We are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. My name is Ian Boisvert, also known as That Maybe It's Ian. I joined, as I always am, by Laura Saba, also known as the Active Stick. Laura, the Montreal Canadiens are victorious. Well, mostly Montreal Canadiens were victorious on Monday after they defeated the Pittsburgh Penguins 2-1 in the shootout in their preseason opener. How are we feeling after the unofficial start to the hockey season?
That was a fun preseason game. There were some dull moments, but we saw so many fun, exciting things in that game. And I think that's all we can really hope for. We're on the record as saying the preseason is just a risk for injury. There was a moment where we were a little bit worried about Demidov. He disappeared and then he thankfully came back again, not looking the worse for wear. But you know what? There's 4 games this week. One of them, if we see fun little things that different prospects or players do throughout this week, I'm going to be happy.
Yeah, look, there's a lot to unpack after that preseason opener. I'm gonna get this out of my system now. Starting the preseason with a 3-on-3, I just feel like that was designed in a lab to make me upset, and it did. Watching Anthony Mantha skate backwards out of the zone for the Pittsburgh Penguins to maintain puck possession in a meaningless preseason exhibition game was a recession indicator for 3-on-3 overtime. We need to be done with this experiment and figure out another way to make 3-on-3 more closely emulate the NHL experience. That is the only negativity you're going to get out of me about this game en masse. I watched that unfold and I was yearning for the shootout, because at least that resembles something that looks like a penalty shot, which is something that has existed for decades in the National Hockey League, not this monstrosity that was fun for like a year or two and has been a completely overcoached disaster since then. Okay, it's out of my system, Laura. Thank you for allowing me that opportunity to complain. I needed that.
All right, let's talk about some fun stuff. Honestly, that game, I know we don't have him on our rundown, but Jacob Fowler, let's talk about that for a second. He was locked in, he was dialed in, he was all the things.
Yeah, he didn't give anything up. Made a couple key saves, especially he made one in overtime, a massive save that I just didn't think he had any shot on. He was, he came in and was that guy, the guy that we sort of expect him to be long-term in Montreal, but also just the guy that, the guy that he is, the athlete that he is very dialed in. It doesn't matter if he's starting the game or coming in halfway through the second period, which is a pretty regular occurrence in the preseason, and I believe will happen today as you're listening to this in the Tuesday game against the Philadelphia Flyers. But yeah, I think Jacob Fowler is a great place to start, because this is really his first preseason action. Yes, he had the rookie tournament, but this was the first, NHL exhibition rather than, prospect exhibition. So thank you for starting us there. Another guy guys I want to get to was the Matheson and Dobson pairing, because that sort of answers half of the equation in the top 4. And it wasn't one, again, just like looking at the power play units, the power play unit we saw today was not what we had expected over the summer. Matheson-Dobson was not a pairing that we really expected over the summer. What did you think about them in their first appearance together?
I like the way they play together. And we do have to caution that with the quality of competition, right? Or we have to qualify that, not caution that. We have to qualify that with the quality of competition. And I think, it bodes well that they didn't have us throwing things at our TVs.
Yes.
Because if anyone was going to do that, it was that pairing.
Yeah, 1,000%. And I think I like that pair. I think that pair can work. I am worried that we are about to see the most shots from just inside the blue line that we have ever seen before in our lives. Like the most shots we've seen from that far out since the 1900s, as the kids would say. Like
In this
that
economy?
in this economy, especially. Like I think that could be that pairing's downfall is
Yeah.
they, like we knew Matheson liked to do that. I got so excited the first one of the year, Matheson taking a wrist shot from just inside the blue line that clanks off the glass behind the
We're
goaltender.
so back.
We're so back. I was so excited to see it. But then I kept seeing Dobson also take shots from the blue line. He's more of a slap shot guy from the blue line. I was like, uh-oh, like that seems like a lot. I'm a little concerned that might be too much of that particular element of their game, especially when they're going to be on the ice with very talented forwards. Like they're going to be on the ice a lot with the Suzuki line and with the Laine Demidov Doc line.
Yes.
So I'm a little worried that pair might not be able to help itself. And that might be something that they need to figure out.
Well, Marty's going to tell them to cut it out at some point because I can't remember which power play it was. Might have been the first one, but Dobson passing to Laine, love that.
Yeah, right off the face-off. It was
that moment was incredible.
It seemed like a set play off that face-off too, because Kapanen kind of just tied him up. Demidov immediately knew where to go, got it off the draw, sent it back to Dobson, who then one-touched it over to Laine, who fired a bomb. Like that to me seemed very much like best case scenario. If we're trying to catch a team napping, that's what we're going to try to do. I want to focus a little more on Laine and the power play and Demidov in our second segment. So we'll leave that there for now. Was there anyone else that sort of stood out to you in this one, positively or negatively?
Not a Montreal Canadian, but I completely forgot Raphael Harvey-Pinard was a thing.
Yeah, and he was great.
That's what was so annoying.
He was so good.
Yes. Sean Farrell. I thought Sean Farrell had a good game. And it's not the move he did. It's not just the move he did at the end. That was not it. I just thought he had a solid game. I thought he did the things that I've come to expect from him, that we watched in Laval in the playoffs last year. Like there was something about it. It just made me sad because I'm like, this guy's not going to make the team, but how good is he,
Yeah, exactly. I think well, I want to talk about that line in our third segment as I teased off the top. Like I think Beck especially might be a victim of his own success coming out of this game and throughout the rest of the preseason. We'll see what his deployment looks like after this. One guy I did want to mention, Mark Del Gaizo, I think is going to be a really fun AHL defenseman. Yeah. I really liked his game. He was nasty. He was mean. I did think that pair with him and Klerman got bottled up a lot. They spent a lot of time chasing the puck in their own zone. Mm-hmm. But I liked Del Gaizo, like very much a physical defenseman, even though he's like I think he's like 5'10", 5'11". He's not super big. He kind of reminds me a little bit of Alex Carrier. But this is an AHLer. He's 25 years old. I didn't know much about him coming in. I think I joked over the summer when the Canadiens signed him that Mark Del Gaizo sounds like you're trying to remember Michael Del Zotto, and like they couldn't play any differently, which I think is very funny. Like, but
that's so good.
I was like, it was like you squint, it's Michael Del Zotto, but it's not. It's Mark Del Gaizo. I rather liked him, and we started with goaltending. Let's end with goaltending as well. Sam Montembeault looked quite sharp early in this game, and he needed to be because the Penguins came out, a team that was full of guys who are trying to prove that the Penguins are not going to be as bad as they think. And I thought he was sharp, especially since the last time we saw him playing, he was being helped off the ice with a torn groin. It was a long time ago now, but like it's nice to see that he's going to return to form.
The Penguins looked to me like every single guy there knew that there was a chance he could be a full-time NHLer. Two weeks from now, because let's face it, every single guy there has a shot. So
Robbie Fabry's there on a PTO. Like like Raphael Harvey-Pinard could be on their third or second line. I would not be shocked by it. He's
gonna be in the NHL. Like, good luck, dude. Like, I'm all for it. Enjoy. I did want to say though, did not love Jared Davidson. Knew what he was doing with the fight. It did not do enough for me to make up for the. Not so, like, he's not going to make the NHL at this point, right? Like,
no,
he's not doing anything to do that.
No, that line of him, Belzil, and hey, look, Belzil's back. Pretty cool. It seemed like that kind of got lost in the shuffle. But him, Belzil, and Kandata, that's going to be an energy AHL line that's going to be very valuable to a team that's still going to be quite young in the American Hockey League. So I think we know what they are.
Yeah.
It was nice that he stood up for Belzil when he got boarded. That's going to go a long way with them in Laval. But yeah, I agree. I don't think that there's much to be made about any of that.
Yeah.
All right. We'll leave our general thoughts on the game there. When we come back, we're going to drill down a little bit. We're going to talk about Laine's progress, that power play in particular, and we'll take a look at that Beck, Mesar, and Farrell line and why I think Beck might become a victim of his own success. And we'll get into all of that in just a minute here on Locked On Canadiens. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel is making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Look, I love using FanDuel because it fits how I like to play. I love player props. I love the anytime touchdown prop, especially building a couple of those together as a parlay across the league. It's a pretty fun way to keep my eye on a bunch of different games on Sunday and give myself just a little bit more juice to watching those games. It's quick, easy, and like I said, it adds a little bit more energy to Sundays, and it helps me also keep an eye on my fantasy team as the Sunday goes on. So are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. Okay, we are back. Let's talk about my guy, Laura. Patrik Laine was back. He was looking, it wasn't just like me, it wasn't my hopium. I think Patrik Laine looked better on his feet. Did he not? He looked stronger. He looked like he was ready to go and skate this year, right?
Who?
Patty Laine, my guy.
Sorry. I had to. I'm so sorry. Honestly, he seemed to, it's a preseason game. It's the first preseason game. He seemed to get on the ice with this determination. And I loved it. Like, he made the joke a couple of days ago, he gets to play with me. I'm the 10-year player in the NHL, but he came out with the excitement of a rookie who thought he was going to make the team, right? That's what I saw from him. And like you said, he looked much better on his feet. You can tell the work that he's done in the offseason. You can see it on him. You can see it on the ice. I was so relieved. I know, you were hoping, I was fearing. And I think, I was just very relieved. You're happy. I'm relieved. I'm excited for him. What I really liked was last year there was this point, and we started talking about it, about how he seems to no longer trust himself on the ice. And I remembered that conversation that we had when I saw him tonight. He has, that entire demeanor has changed. Like, he can trust his own instincts, right? He can, we talked about that set play too, right? Like, he can contribute in a way that isn't just somebody's going to shoot to him. Somebody's going to, somebody's going to pass to him and then he's going to make the shot, right? Like, we saw that 25 times last year. I think this year we're going to see something very different. We're going to see a very dynamic player. We're going to see layered decision-making and a lot of creativity. And I'm very excited about that. And I know we were just kind of worried about, he's a guy who likes the puck. Demidov is a guy who likes the puck. How is that going to work out? I think it's going to work out great.
Yeah, I do too. I think the most reassuring thing to me in this game was how Laine moved with the puck. Last year we would joke a lot that he would get the puck and his legs would just stop moving because he couldn't generate the power he needed to off of his knee. So he would try to do everything with his hands, and sometimes it worked and sometimes it very did not. In this one, we got our first real glimpse at that when he drew that penalty. He was driving to the net through the middle of the ice. He makes a couple, cuts towards at the Penguins blue line in order to get open. And he cuts east-west a couple times. Last year, he can't make that move. He can't even try to attempt it. He would fall down. Like, it wouldn't work. And now mixing that with the hands that he's always had and the shot that he has, he's going to be a pain. He drew another penalty later on just by shielding the puck with his body, using his legs, driving along the boards, and drawing a holding call. Like, these are things that might not immediately end up with direct offense, but it's going to give him and his power play and the other power play unit opportunities if he can keep doing that. If he can use his legs to not only put himself in a scoring position, but to force the other team into doing something stupid. Again, all of this under the caveat of the level of competition on the other team. Yeah, sure, whatever. But I think it was a great sign for me to see that. I always joke, oh, it's best shape of my life season. There was definitely some worry in me that that was going to be the case with Laine. But I think it's there. I think his skating's there. He made some plays defensively, which was like, whoa, that was that all in your legs last year too? I'm very happy to see that. He's going to try to be a more complete player this year. I thought Frankie Corrado said it best on the TSN broadcast. He said last year he was just trying to score goals, and this year he's going to try to play hockey. He's going to be more complete. I really liked that analysis from Frankie during the game.
Yeah, I love Frankie Corrado, by the way. He does a really good job.
He does.
Yeah, I feel, again, it's like relief, it's hope, it's excitement, because I think he himself, I was just so worried that something like last year was going to happen again, or that he was going to get on the ice and it wasn't going to look like what he thought it was going to look like. And I feel like I want that work to pay off. I want that work to have meant something, but also we need it to mean something, right? For the exact same reason that we need Kirby Dach to work out, we also need Patrik Laine to work out. And I think it just, it's just reassuring. And again, it's one game. I know that, but in one game, he did so much more than he was able to do in all the games he played last year with the Montreal Canadiens, and potentially games that he had played with the Columbus Blue Jackets too.
Yeah, no, so on top of all of that, we have this power play, right? We were very excited to see that unit. It's basically what the Canadiens 1B unit will look like, but instead of Kapanen, you'd imagine Dach is going to be there.
Dach, yeah.
Yeah. What do you make of that unit, of that power play going 0 for? They went 0 for 5 as a team. Beck scored his goal right as the power play had expired. Do you make anything of that power play not connecting in this one?
You make jokes only, because I think it's going to be fine. Some of those shots, some of those passes, some of those plays, it didn't have that hopeless quality that we saw in at the beginning of last year, right before Patrik Laine showed up to the team, and there was a lack of creativity. And it seemed like every single episode we were talking about how bad the power play was, or how the special teams were sinking them, right? And they had a pretty bad stretch when we were talking about this, but it did not look like that. So it's over. That's fine. These Penguins kids are playing out of their minds. I don't know that I would be, this is the first time they play together in a game. I'm excited to see it after some practice, right?
Yeah, I'm excited because they went 0 for 5. The 5 is the key part for me. They have a lot of tape to break down after that game, right? They have not only a bunch of 5-on-4 time, they have about 2 minutes of 5-on-3 to break down that they didn't score on, right? That's a lot of information they're going to be able to give to Demidov and Laine and Dobson on that unit to be like, hey, look, this is what we looked at this time. Hey, look, this passing lane was open. Here's an opportunity where maybe next time you can move up, you can change position a little bit, and hey, this lane might be open. So I think I know a lot of people complained about the penalties in this game and how many of them there were. I also thought the referees had a bad night, but whatever. I'm never going to get too bent out of shape about officiating in a preseason game. I can't bring myself to do it. But I think that the Canadiens, from a power play coaching perspective, they're probably pretty happy with the fact that they have a lot of tape to go back with a brand new unit, a unit that's practically brand new. Dach kind of got a little bit of time there last year, and Gallagher got time, but the rest of that unit is practically brand new. So I think they'll be happy to leave with some extra time on that. Any last thoughts on Ivan Demidov's night? Pretty quiet. Glad that whatever he went to the locker room for in the second period, he ended up coming back. I'm wondering if it was an equipment thing. Honestly, he was there and back, there was really no indication he was hurt.
Yeah. I think it's weird because you said he had a quiet game, and it's like it's funny how our bar is now. He wasn't electrifying, so he was
Yeah.
quiet. I thought he was
He
great.
got robbed in overtime. He almost
Yeah.
scored in overtime.
Yeah.
Which would have
Yeah.
been, I mean, they'd have to put a new roof on the Bell Center, which is crazy for a preseason game, but
Yes.
that is what it is. All right, we'll leave that there. When we come back, we'll talk about who I think will be the Laval Rocket top line coming up, and why Beck's play in this preseason game and in the games to come might solidify that. And we'll get into that in just a minute here on Locked On Canadiens. Most people can't name all of their financial accounts or even what they're worth, whether it's 401ks, properties, or investments. And when you don't have the full picture, you can end up leaving money on the table. That's why there's Monarch Money. It's an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or your phone. Monarch is built for people with busy lives. If you've put off organizing your finances, Monarch is for you. Monarch does the heavy lifting for you so you can link all of your accounts in minutes, see clear data visuals, get smart categorization of your spending, and finally feel in control of your money without ever touching a spreadsheet. You can identify that you aren't saving as much as you thought. Monarch helps you notice an inefficient investment allocation or discover forgotten 401ks from past jobs. Maximizing investments, increasing your savings rate, easily reviewing your finances with your partner and or financial advisor, keeping a clear view of your financial health. These are all things that Monarch is going to help you and already helps me do. Don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONNHL at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with code LOCKEDONNHL. All right, let's wrap up this opening of the preseason, but stay tuned. Trivia is making its triumphant. It is making its return. We have heard the people. The rule in show business is to keep people wanting, right? Keep people coming back for more. That's what we've done with trivia. I'm only half joking, but we know you guys like it. We've brought it back. There will be a trivia question at the end of this episode, so stay tuned. The last grouping that I want to talk about was the line that got the goal for the Montreal Canadiens in this game. Owen Beck, Filip Mesar, and to a certain extent, Sean Farrell.
Yes.
He had a great night as well, but I thought Beck and Mesar were really the ones who carried the water on that line. I want to start with Mesar because I'm really starting to see
what the Canadiens saw in him.
Yeah, I'm starting to figure it out, right? Like
Yeah.
it just, especially on the play that he sets up the goal, it's right as a power play is expiring. You know, I think he recognized that one, he had space in front of him to take, and two, I think he recognized that it was a unit that was kind of in disarray. They know the penalty's ending. There's a guy coming out. Maybe there will be a lapse in coverage. He drives the net. He goes around the backside of the net, gets another look, and then Beck bangs in a rebound. Through that one rookie tournament game and now this, I really love the fall that Phil Mesar has come into camp and put together so far, right? Like this could go a long way.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one thing that he said when they first reported to rookie camp, or the whatever it was, the development camp. I can't remember what it's. Development is the one right after the draft. This is just rookie camp, right? And he showed up and he said that he wanted to remind people what the Canadiens saw in him. He wanted to live up to it, right? Like he knew he had it and he wanted to prove to the Canadiens they did the right thing in selecting him in the first round a couple of years ago. And I think what he's been able to do is he took to heart what they told him. They told him they wanted him to play like Brad Marchand. And that does not mean licking somebody's face. That means, like you pointed out the other day, like finding the time and the space, right? Like finding those moments, creating your own opportunities. And that's what he did in that play you just described, right? I really enjoyed a confident Mesar because remember what happened? He got drafted. He got drafted in the first round. Everybody was like, oh, they just drafted Slavkovsky's best friend to appease him or whatever. And it kind of wasn't. He was also small, right? He's small. He's larger than Brad Marchand, but he's a short player. And then he got thrust into a really, from what I remember, I think it was in Kingston, or was it the Kitchener team, that he got thrust into a very toxic situation, and he wasn't the
Yep.
only player that suffered that season. And then it just never, like, he was never able to kind of pick it up. And then last year he got injured and he didn't find his way back into the lineup in crucial games. And I think what I feel like his career trajectory kind of got away from him. And what he's doing now is he's grabbing it back and taking control back. And I really like that.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think this is a really important time for him and for the guy that scored the goal on his line in Owen Beck, who
Yeah.
coming into the rookie showcase, we were like, this guy needs to have a good showing. And then the rookie showcase, he kind of was just there. Yes, he got some chances, but it wasn't like he should have done more than just had some chances in an opportunity like that. That's like it's his 100th rookie showcase. Like, he should have put together more of a dominant performance. So we left that disappointed, but then we come into this and he's on a line with presumably who he's going to be playing with in the American Hockey League, although he's probably vying for that third line spot next to Bolduc and Newhook, which is why I think that what we saw on Monday night might be a hindrance to him in getting that spot. Because yes, he could end up on that line and play the wing and probably have less of an impact than he would if he was playing center on a line in the American Hockey League. I think the Canadiens, while yes, they could play him in that role, like, wouldn't you could just play Kapanen there or somebody else there and have Owen Beck deliver a top line performance for you with
In
the Laval,
Laval.
right? Like, I wonder how much of Beck's performance in the first game of the preseason makes the Canadiens think, maybe we want him to be alongside Phil Mesar, and to a lesser extent Sean Farrell, but Phil Mesar, and you create a pairing that at some point can come up and maybe within a year or two be your third line.
Yes.
Like, who knows how much longer Alex Newhook's going to be here? Who knows? Like, could that be a third line? You could have a third line of then Bolduc, Newhook, or not Newhook, Bolduc, Beck, and Mesar next year. Like,
Yeah.
I almost wonder how much the Canadiens are looking that far ahead.
And again, it's just one game, but if they're able to do something in Laval, like, I really think that it changes the way the Montreal Canadiens talk to Alex Newhook, right? It changes the
Yeah.
future. It changes the conversations, and it also gives them a bit more flexibility because these guys are going to come in cheaper. So I don't know. I think it's exciting, and I think, okay, here's the way that you have to phrase it. I think if you're Owen Beck, did I do everything to make the team? And after this game, I would just say keep doing that for the rest of the postseason, because
Yeah.
that's not in your control. The only thing you can control is how you play. You can't control what the Montreal Canadiens' plans are for that line or for those players, or when they're going to have room for you, or if they're thinking about trading you. You can't control any of those things. The only thing you can do
Yep.
is you can prove that you are a legitimate NHLer.
Yeah, the only thing you can do is make their life really hard in making the final roster decisions, right? And
Yeah.
that, who knows what that looks like? Who knows when those decisions come? It'll come within the next few weeks. The thing that Beck, and Kapanen don't have, at their, they don't. Neither one of them has an advantage. Is either one of them can be sent down to Laval.
Yeah.
So that's an aspect of this that neither one of them gets a leg up on the other one. I think from a preseason game perspective, we learned a lot in this one. We learned a lot about that pairing, those guys, Owen Beck and Phil Mesar. We learned a lot about Patrik Laine's return to form and that power play
Mhm.
unit still having some time, some baby fat to grow into. I think we learned that that first defensive unit of Dobson and Matheson could be pretty impactful or pretty detrimental should they make the wrong choices on offense. The one thing I want to learn more after that game is the penalty kill. We learned sort of, like, I think the main penalty killers from the NHL side will be from this game: Josh Anderson, Jake Evans,
Gallagher.
and then Matheson and Dobson both killed penalties. But we didn't really learn much about that unit as a total. So hopefully over the next few games we learn a bit more. Last thoughts on this game, Laura, before we jump into our trivia.
I can't wait till the next one. which is
Well,
tomorrow or tonight at the time you're listening to
I
it.
was going to say that then, you are in luck, because at this time tomorrow, we will be breaking down another one of these games as the Philadelphia Flyers come to town. And we'll see probably the other half of the Canadiens AHL roster and the other half of the Canadiens NHL roster. So we'll get more information tomorrow from whatever lines Marty sends over the boards. All right, it's time. Trivia is making its triumphant return. This time we're looking a bit across the league. A player that we've talked about in 2C or not 2C and in rumor roundup in Mason McTavish is still unsigned. They do not have a contract. So today's question is in honor of Mason McTavish. After the 2022 Memorial Cup, currently unsigned forward Mason McTavish was named a tournament all-star alongside this Montreal Canadien, which Montreal Canadiens shared in those honors with Mason McTavish after the 2022 Memorial Cup. If you have the answer, put it in the comments down below this video. Send it to us any way you know how, and we'll give you a shout out on the next episode of the show. But that is going to do it for us today on this episode of Locked On Canadiens. Thank you so much for tuning in and making us your first listen of the day, and for subscribing wherever you get your podcast. Doing that ensures you don't miss an episode, and it supports us here on the show. For your next listen, go check out the Locked On NHL podcast. The season's just getting underway. You're gonna want to have those guys in your podcast feed as well, breaking down all the league-wide stories that matter from the local angle you love the most here at Locked On. So find them anywhere you get your podcasts. You can follow us anywhere we're posting things, Locked On Canadiens, Blue Sky, Instagram, and TikTok primarily. You can send us an email, lockedoncanadiens@gmail.com. We do a mailbag every Friday, so make sure you get your questions in. Make sure you tag a mailbag any way you guys can get them to us so that we know, and we'll do our best to get to all of them next this mailbag on the show. You can find me at Maybe It's Ian. You can find Laura at The Actor Stick. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you guys tomorrow with another preseason game recap.